What is up, my friends? Welcome to another edition of the XFL Weekend Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of XFL News Hub, and on this week's show, Josh Davis gets a chance to talk to former Renegades running backs coach Bobby Blizzard, plus two Renegades running backs in Lance Dunbar and Cameron Artis-Payne. You're not going to want to miss that. Going through all their transition, what happened behind the scenes with the XFL getting shut down. We have that, plus Cam Phillips signing and all the little player transactions going on this week. We got all that for you, but we have a glimmer of hope on the horizon. XFL owner Danny Garcia tweeted this out. Pro Football Talk tweeted Panthers signing former XFL wideout Cam Phillips. She's tweeted at XFL 2020, quote, 24/7, chomping at the bit and doing the hard work to lock in the future, but taking a moment to appreciate the talent of the past, close quote. So there you have it. Danny Garcia letting us all know that they are working 24/7 on this XFL thing. It's not like they bought the league and then they'll say, okay, we'll see you next year. No, they are working at it 24/7 to try to get this league off the ground, get things back moving, and give us basically the XFL 3.0 version. So we're all chomping in the bit, but we need to stay patient, my friends. We need to be patient. This is a long legal process and lots of moving parts, but hopefully we can get some kind of word coming here soon in the month of September, and we'll keep you up to date on everything that we hear and that we know at XFL News Hub, because we're getting a lot of questions. So how do you get in touch with the show? Simple. You email podcast@xflnewshub.com with your MP3 or videos, or you call 888-430-7692, extension 3. And remember to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We will read it on the show. We appreciate that. So we have a ton of information to get to, some great interviews by our own Josh Davis. So without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL.
How did you find out in April when everything was getting shut down, after they had already postponed the season or said they were postponing the season? How did you find out when everything was done?
We found out. So I remember us, because if you can remember, Coach Stoops made me and Coach Jags the co-coordinators and making me the play caller. So
right.
Going into that week, so I was ready to play DC. So that was so me and Jags had to work some magic together and start preparing for us. So I think it was a Wednesday practice. It was either Wednesday or Thursday practice, and we practiced that morning. Same routine. And then during practice, I believe someone told us that I can't remember, either the day before or during practice, somebody said the NBA had canceled their season. And, what it was. We found out that the NBA canceled season either the day before the practice or whatever, and everybody was rumoring, like, man, they're going to cancel us if they cancel the NBA stuff. So right after that practice, we went in and, the players went to go eat, and then, Coach Stoops called all the guys up and told everybody as a staff and as a team at one time. We all found out together. So when we found out, I believe it was either Wednesday or Thursday going into the game. I believe we played Saturday. And that was going to be the first game I was going to call, but of course they canceled it. Man. So that's exactly how we found out like that. But I already knew personally, once the NBA canceled, that we was done.
Yeah, a lot of us knew. As soon as the NBA was like, nah, we're good. I knew things were going to go down the pike. I knew that that was the first domino to fall. And I was like, man, the only live football we got going on right now is about to end. Baseball's not going to start. There's, everything else that's coming up. NASCAR is going to end, things like that's going on. We talked about it. NASCAR was about the only sport that could still go on because of, the lack of proximity to the fans. But, even that I knew was pretty dead. So, well, what about in April when they shut everything down that Friday, that last payday? How'd you find out about that?
Well, again, after that last meeting that Coach Stoops pulled up for the staff, everybody was there. He just told everybody to go home, relax for a couple of days while everything sorts itself out. Because at that official moment, I think they said they suspended it. They didn't cancel it. They suspended it at that time.
Right.
So no more practice or anything. So he just told us to go home for a couple of days until, the air clears, and then he will know more as far as moving forward with the program, what's going to happen or whatever. So when he told us, I was sitting in the house, man. I was sitting in the house thinking like everybody else, man. Just had a question mark over my head. Of course I was excited and disappointed at the same time because, in my short career, I've been a coordinator going into this season. I was been a coordinator 5 years out of my 8 years of coaching.
Uh-huh.
So, that this would have been my 6th year, being a coordinator. So that was big for me, just getting that coordinator role or whatever. So I was excited before it to go down. I kind of was in the dumps a little bit because what happened to me in the AAF.
Yeah.
Because I was with the Memphis team and Mike Singletary was the head coach, and same thing happened there, and a little different scenario. But I was a coordinator there, and bam, y'all stopped the season, 6 games leading into the season. So as far as this past one though, it was just a group text amongst the staff.
Yeah.
I believe the coaches sent it out as a group text, letting everybody know what's up, but of course we didn't know when that last check how they was going to play it out or whatever until everything finalized, and they sent us that message saying that, hey, this is your last check or whatever. But that's how we found out through a group text through Coach Stoops and just the staff. And I believe I was probably sitting on when I found out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It had to have been at least a little bit. I'd say more than a little bit, but it's heartbreaking to find out that the league is shutting down. And I know that you coached in Memphis, so you had been through it. You through it once before.
Right.
Were your feelings different this time? Was there a difference in excitement while you were coaching in the XFL as opposed to the AAF? And then when it ended, was it worse? Did your experience help you? How was that?
Well, just starting from the beginning, for me, I thought it was awesome. Starting with the AAF and the XFL, me coming from college.
Right.
And again, I've only been coaching a certain amount of years. I mean, I've been with Hal Money, who was my college coach, my first 2 years in college before he left Kentucky. He the one that put me on as far as the coaches. So I've been with him for 6 years. And leave him for a year, then bam, I'm coaching professional football. I'm with Mike Singletary and all these guys who coach in the NFL. So it was amazing. And so shut down, I was crushed because, after the first game, Mike Singletary gave me the offensive coordinator role, and he pulled me to the side. He's like, hey, I need you to turn this stuff around. We only had one game, and then he promoted me. So it was kind of a tough situation, calling somebody else's plays is not yours.
Right.
So, but, we made the adjustments. We did the best we could at the time. But it was crushing, for a young coach like myself being in a position where I'm a coordinator at a professional level, so that was huge. And then when it shut down, I was crushed for a couple reasons. I mean, they owed, it went bankrupt, so they owed us plenty of money for the year, so, losing that money, of course, it hurts you in your pocket because, I got a family and I got kids to take care of. I got two kids and, that's my job to take care of them. So losing that money hurts. And then, going to the next situation with Stoops, it was awesome, man. Like, the difference between the XFL and AAL was night and day, from the facilities to how we look, just the feeling, the energy around it. The players was excited, the coaches was excited. That was the best staff I've ever been a part of in the XFL with Bob Stoops, the staff that he put together. In my young career, that was the best staff I've ever been a part of. Great people, great coaches, smart guys, and I learned so much being around them guys. Because again, all them guys, most of the staffs I've been on, them guys have been coaching 15, 20 years. Yeah. And I'm coming in like a baby. I only been coached like 8, 9 years. So it was awesome, man, just being around them guys. I mean, I have career goals myself. I do want to be a head coach one day. So I always, everywhere I went, I always wanted to be a student of the game and watch Stoops and watch the Mummies, watch Singletary. Any coach I've ever been around, always been a sponge, because I know my career goals and what I want to be. Of course, I want to be a head coach or a coordinator at least, but it was awesome, man. I can't say nothing bad about the XFL except that the COVID situation, but that was nobody's fault at all, you know. So I just thought the league as a whole was awesome, man. I think that it gives, you know, coaches and players another opportunity to coach at a different level, and, you know, it just creating jobs for people. Just like I said in my post on Twitter. I mean, I'm one of them guys, the NFL guys that kind of had injuries, and when I played, you know, I got 3 years in the NFL, but I was hurt 2 out of the 3 years. I had 2 back injuries. So I had to go to NFL Europe, if you remember when that was out.
I do.
I had to go do that to reprove myself to the organization that I was a part of, that I could still play coming off of these injuries. So I have a heart for these players that's actually doing this because, you know, these guys trying to fight to get back. These guys want to keep playing and be able to make money, support their family. So I'm all for this.
Yeah, you know, this is you know, we've got a tracker on our website on the XFL News Hub site that tracks XFL guys that have been signed in the NFL, and we're either really close to it or have already eclipsed 50 guys that have signed with NFL teams. We've got guys we've got, I think, 15 dudes so far this week alone have had workouts. So, you know, Cam Phillips, and I know he played for Houston, but like Cam Phillips, one of the best wide receivers in the XFL, it took him this long to get a workout. I couldn't understand that.
Right.
That was baffling to me.
I mean, I'm going to be real with you. This is just my opinion. And, you know, I mean, I've talked to NFL guys. I've talked to NFL coaches and players. And I think that COVID stuff kind of, I mean, I know they had their certain particular guys they may be going after, but I think the COVID and all that has really pushed everybody back, like the guys you're talking about, Cam Phillips. He should have got a workout immediately, but I think with everything going down, the NFL ain't know what they was going to do, and all of that. So I guess it kind of pushed everybody back from getting that real chance that really deserved it, like a Cam Phillips or other guys who's getting signed. I mean, you got to think about it. You got a whole, like, hundreds and hundreds of colleges that didn't even get a pro workout.
Oh, I know. I mean, nobody got a pro day. And this, when you talk about college football, this hurts the HBCUs more than anybody else because they don't get that workout. And you're absolutely right. They've limited the NFL rosters to 80, and you've already seen some cuts, and it really limits what guys can do and what NFL teams can do when it comes to signing guys. So, you know, this whole thing is just new to everybody. And I mean, you know, it took a while, and that's the reason. It just baffled me as to why it took so long for Cam to get a workout.
I really believe it was a lot of all that stuff had something going on because I've been keeping my ear. Like I got my guys in the NFL close with. They were just like, man, it's hard. It's hard because you just don't. They don't know how, like you said, as far as the numbers and how many they're gonna keep and you know who's gonna be camp. You know they're gonna bring their camp bodies in. The guys don't really care about. You know how it goes business. You know, but it's tough, man. It's tough. But I have a heart for these guys. Like I said, I've been in that position before. Been in the NFL, then had to go to NFL Europe and come back. You know, so I got a heart for them guys. So I really believe that they have to keep doing this, man, because there's so much talent and athletes out there that just don't get their true opportunity to really continue to play pro ball, man, unless you want to play arena or some semi-pro, which guys really don't want to play, you know. So that's why the XFL is so important that they bring it back. Guys like them and the coaches. I mean, there's so many. I mean, come on, man. Bob Stoops can go to college right now and get him a head coach. They'll probably fire somebody and hire him right now.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, Bob Stoops has no business being at home watching TV trying to figure out where he's coaching at. You know what I'm saying? There's just so much talent, coaches, players, guys in the front office. It's just a bunch of brilliant minds just sitting around at home right now and don't have a job.
Yeah, you know that's one of the things that I always think about too is a lot of these guys that might not make it in a camp and might not make it in a pros that have talent and were top guys in their college, that don't make it in the NFL. Not all of them are due to lack of talent. It's because of situations. They might get signed by a team. It might be a running back that gets signed by a team that already has 3 dudes that they know that are going to go. Take Philadelphia, for example. They've got Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and Corey Clement. They could bring in another running back, but the numbers don't work and they don't get a shot for real. Like they get to
Right.
participate in camp, but once those 55 are called, they won't get that shot, and it's not because they don't have talent. It's just
Exactly.
because of the certain situation. So yeah, man, I'm just a couple of years older than you. I vaguely remember the USFL. I got to go to a couple of games in Jacksonville. That's where my family part of my family lives. So I remember that league. So these leagues like this are real important to me. I was excited about the AAF, and then I was heartbroken when it was done. And then the XFL came, and I was excited again, and then heartbroken when it was gone. But unlike the AAF, the XFL is back. You know, they Chapter 11. There was going to be an auction. We got a bidder, and you know, Danny Garcia and Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and Redbird Capital. How do you feel about the new ownership?
I mean, you know, I don't know too much about any of them guys as far as their backgrounds, too much besides, you know, The Rock, of course. You know, he played ball, and
right.
You know, now he's in the movie business right now. But I mean, I just feel like the new ownership is always good. You know, I felt they had a great thing going before. I mean, I think if COVID didn't happen, we wouldn't even be having this conversation nowhere time soon. Because I just feel like that league is going to take off.
You're absolutely
period.
Right.
You know, right now I feel like Vince McMahon. I mean, I know they big time millionaires. They got plenty of money, but I feel bad for them guys because I know that he knew he had a big thing brewing and things happen. But with new ownership, I feel like in the back of my mind, I feel like they're gonna do it the right way. You got a template already of how we did it last year. You can look at everything that we did, keep the things you like, take away the things you don't like, you know, and move forward. I mean, because we already have a fan base. I mean, I'm from Virginia. I know you live in Virginia. I wear my Dallas Renegades stuff, go work out, and wear my hats around it, and people know what it is. They're like, "Where you buy that hat at, man?" And I'm like, "How you get that stuff?" And I was like, "Wow, you know who this is?"
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So people really was watching it. Like I didn't really realize. I knew we had the ratings, you know, close to 2 million viewers a game and stuff. But when I came home after the season, and then the people that knew me that I was coaching and stuff, that I couldn't believe the amount of people that was really, really watching that. So that really got my engine rumbling. I was like, man, this thing could have been great, man. So, but I think the new ownership, I think The Rock having that football background, and I think they're gonna do it the right way because everything that the XFL have done this last year was great, man. I mean, I don't see why you would change anything. Training camp was great. Facility was great. Travel was great. I mean, I can't complain about nothing, man. Like I said, I was heartbroken, man. Like right now, I'm still sick and heartbroken because I don't even know if I'm gonna get a job, you know. So it's like I don't know who the head coach is going to be. You know, it's a tough business in coaching, just like a player. So, would I love to come back? Absolutely, man, because I want to be a part of something great. Yep. I want to be a part of something great and be on a great staff and be able to continue to do something that I love to do every day for the rest of my life. You know, and I just think it's going to be huge, man. It is and people be like, you know, it's going to be competition to the NFL. I'm like, there's no competition.
No.
This is a spring league. We ain't trying to compete with the NFL. If anything, the NFL should make it a farm league, if anything. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of like how the NFL Europe thing was. It was like guys over there was all NFL guys. And then the guys that you like, you pull them and put them on your team. Yep. It's the same thing. It's no different. It's just a different name. Yeah. Like if the NFL was smart, in my opinion, they were smart. And I have no idea how the business thing work on that end, but just from the outside looking in, being the ex-NFL player, an ex-NFL Europe player, and a coach, it would be ridiculous if you didn't invest in the XFL because they ain't gonna do nothing but make your league better because you keeping great talent, guys you want to look at, and you can be able to pull guys from that league. I mean, I look at my backfield. I had Cameron Artis-Payne and Lance Dunbar in my backfield.
Right.
And how did I get those guys?
I know.
That's what I'm saying. So it's so much talent in that league is ridiculous. And I think that nobody really got the full experience of it because you only got 5 games.
Yeah.
You know, so I just think moving forward, man, I think The Rock and Miss Danny Garcia, I think they have a great deal on their hands. I think they already have people fiending for it. Everybody's fiending for football right now, but I think you have a fan base already in place in them locations. And I just think it's going to be a big deal. I think it's going to be a really big deal.
Yeah,
so I hope they can pull it off and bring in 2021 in the spring. Because I really believe the NFL is going to play. Yeah. Once they play September the 10th, once that first ball is snapped, I think it's going to be great. So once they snap that first ball, the XFL is in the clear.
Yeah.
I
believe that too. And they with The Rock and Danny, bringing that football experience, bringing that football fan experience, and also having that entertainment background. I think that they'll be able to. And I'm not saying anything that Vince couldn't do it, because we know that Vince has an entertainment background too, obviously. But I think that they'll be able to continue and maybe even enhance what was going on last year. One of the things that excites me the most about leagues like this is people always refer to college football as a farm system for the NFL. But the thing about it is we all know this, 97% of the players in college don't make it to the pros.
Exactly.
So it's like, and the college game, you hear this every single year, especially with the Alabamas and now Clemson. Alabama can beat Cleveland. This college team can beat this pro team. Well, I'm going to tell you what. No, they can't, because Cleveland's a professional team. The college game, you've played both. The college game and the pro game are completely different. I mean, they play the same sport, but you got professionals and then you've got college guys. And with leagues like this, like the AAF and like the XFL, you get these guys professional experience, and you see what they can do in a professional environment, because the environment's different. Am I right? Even in between college and something like the XFL, the environment is different, right?
No question about it. You're 100% right. The environment is great, man. I think that I just think the XFL is down the line. I wouldn't say right now. I say maybe next year, or maybe that third year once they get this thing back going. I just think the dynamics of college football would change. Yeah. And I'm going to say this. I just really believe that, because them guys, so think about the situation right now. Mm-hmm. Okay? So let's say, like right now, let's say the XFL 2021 comes. And now you talk about some colleges not even playing, big-time colleges, but have professional guys who have the potential to go to the NFL or whatever, or some guys who seniors that may need more film or whatever that already graduated, some guys who graduate early or whatever. Man, them guys won't leave to go to the XFL so they can show people that they can play on a professional level, then go to the league. Didn't a guy from the St. Louis do that or something?
Yeah.
A defensive back he left college, went to the XFL, and he got drafted.
Kenny Robinson.
There you go. Yep. He's the first one. We're going to look back 20 years from now, and he's going to be the face for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, here's our first guy who did it right here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Nobody really recognizing it now because we're the XFL now. But I'm talking about 10, 15 years from now, they're going to do a 30 for 30, and they're going to talk about him, and he'll be the first dude who started.
Man, I wrote an article about that. I wrote an article about guys who need more tape, that are in conferences that aren't playing, or teams that have supposedly, postponed, and then you got the Big Ten and the Pac-12 that are canceled, or at least postponed. Between you and me, I guess it's really not, because I am recording, but I don't think there's going to be any college football played in the spring, but they've postponed the season until then. There are guys that are going to be third-day guys in the NFL draft that need more film, that need more tape. The CFL, they've called off their year. The XFL is primed for that, man. The XFL is primed for those seniors and upperclassmen, and even guys that, because unless they change the rules, even some of the guys that haven't reached all their eligibility to be in the NFL draft, they can still get that season in and get that tape in before the draft and be ready and show these scouts. Because look at, man, hey, what would it, we bring this up. Joe Burrow is a perfect example. A year ago, before this last season, before his Heisman and the national championship season at LSU, people were projecting him as a 5th-round draft pick. He plays that year with LSU, and he's picked number 1 overall, Heisman winner, national champion. So you've got guys that need that tape to elevate their class. I mean, let's look at edge rusher in Jacksonville right now from your school, one of them anyway, from Kentucky, Josh Allen, 2-star recruit. He was a 2-star recruit. Number 1 draft pick, 1st-round draft pick by the Jaguars. They need that tape. And so schools that aren't playing are going to postpone. The XFL, if they do it like they did it last year, going to start in February, end before the draft. It's perfect time. Like I said, I wrote this article. It's a perfect time frame for those guys to get tape in. And even guys that have, I know that Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota, he doesn't need it. He opted out. He's already a top prospect. But he could even do it. He opted out of the season before they ever canceled. But he could even do it. Get out there and get some more tape. I don't think he needs it, and I don't know that he needs to risk his body because, like I said, he's already a top prospect. But, you've got guys that are going to be third-day guys that are going to be, fourth, fifth, and on down round guys that could use some more tape. So,
I have no idea. I'm asking you questions, man, because it's funny that you ask me this because I'm telling you, this is no exaggeration. I get at least 10 to 15 calls a day, either from players or from coaches asking me. I'm like, I have no idea, man. Yeah. Like I get more phone calls from players than anything because, the guys, coaching college and doing all that. So, I know a lot of kids now. So, the kids is hungry right now.
Yeah.
Kids is hungry and wanting to play, man. And this XFL is opening doors up for them guys, like you said. So, I have no idea of anything. I just really hope that, to be honest, like I said in the post that I sent, man, the way that the league shut down, it wasn't nobody's fault.
Right.
It was a world pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's nothing that nobody did wrong with anything. I just hate to see, like I told you before, I hate to see any coach have to sit at home when everything was going great, and not have a job, man. I just think that it would be awesome, man, if they sat up here and be like, hey, you know what, we're going to bring all the coaching staffs back, and if the head coach decide that is a guy on the staff that he doesn't want to work with again, and that's totally different.
Yeah.
But I believe that all them coaches deserve a chance to come back and continue coaching, doing what they was doing, because up until that point, there was no complaints nowhere, from what I hear, across the league.
I haven't heard about it.
So why let them head coaches lose their job over something they have nothing better to do? So I think that would be the best. That would be. For right now, the way the XFL is now, and you trying to capture them. I think that would win the hearts over many people. Like, man, like they hired all the coaching styles back. Like that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So it's. I just think that's huge, man. Because again, I told you got great minds like Bob Stoops. Bob Stoops has no business being home on the couch unless he wants to.
Right.
Right. He's a hell of a coach. It's no business, and he's the best head coach I ever worked for, man. So I can sit up here and speak highly of him all day. And I want to be just like him or any other coach I work with, because they all been great guys, and I learned a lot from them.
That guy can stop now, and he's Hall of Fame. Already is,
no
but
question.
you know what I mean, like one of the best ever. That whole family, Mike, Mark. We're seeing what brother Stoops is doing at UK right now. So.
Yeah, man. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure working for him, man. And being a kid and seeing. It's funny because just like how I went to the NFL, you get in the locker room. He's like, man, I used to play video games with you, or man, I used to watch you like my first time playing with Emmett, my rookie year. And I'm like, man, I used to play with you on video games when I was a kid, man. You still playing? You know what I mean? Like now, same thing with Stoops. I sat up here and watched Stoops when I was a kid. Back when he was at Florida, or back when he was, in Oklahoma. Man, it was like walking in the room. I'm like, man, these dudes is walking monuments.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine.
I've already been hanging with Kyle Bundy, which is a respectable name. He'll probably be a Hall of Famer for how he changed the game.
Yep.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So it was just great for me, man, to be a young coach and be around that kind of talent, man. Jeff Coates and all these guys, man. I felt like a kid. I was 40 years old walking there, felt like I was a kid.
Yeah. Hey, I can relate.
So
yep.
It was an awesome experience, man. So I would never take that back. The experience that I got from the AAF and the XFL, all that information I got can push me for the next 20 years of my coaching career if I could last that long. Just go over the stuff that I learned from them guys,
Yep.
And that's the plan. Keep on moving, man. I just hope that I can get back on, man. I know even if Bob Stoops does get a job, that doesn't guarantee me a job,
right.
So I just hope that I can get back on, man.
Yeah.
I really hope I can be a part of something special like the XFL, man, because I know it's going to be special. We're going to look back I'm going to look back 30, 40 years down the line. I'm going to be telling my kids about it. I was a part of the beginning of it.
Yeah.
You know, bringing it back, you know. So it's all about how you want to be remembered, man. I want to be a part of this.
Yep, that's right.
You know,
And, you know, so far, the way everything's moving, they're pushing pretty quickly, you know, to try to get things going, because it does take time to build that infrastructure back up. You know, for me, it makes a whole lot of sense to bring, at least like you said, the head coaches back, let them build their squads if they, you know, want to change up some people from last year. It makes a whole lot of sense to do that. I think it makes a whole lot of sense to do that as quickly as possible so that they can go on and have that ready for when it's time to start figuring out what's going to happen with the players. So,
there you go.
You know, do you have, now, you know, this will be my last question for this. Have you got any plans for anything if it doesn't happen? Do you have something in the works, or are you?
Well, and like anybody else, I'm pretty sure you know, the coaching business is just like going to the NFL. So everybody's talking about, man, 90% of all college kids don't go. You talking about 2 or 3% go to the NFL.
Yep.
Well, shoot, only 1, 2, 3% of guys actually get a chance to coach college or pro.
Right.
You know, so
right.
I'm kind of like in the low percentages right here, man. So it's like, if I don't get a chance to get on, all I can do is just try to, you know, find a place to continue to work on my craft, and, you know, hopefully somebody will let me come in on their staff. And, you know, I mean, to be honest with you, I have no idea, because of how the NFL played out, the NFL's playing. College is not hiring nobody.
Right.
You know, so the only thing left out here is the XFL right now. So if I didn't get a job with the XFL, I mean, either I'm going to go work for free for somebody, or I'm going to have to wait for whole another year, which is horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so, and if you know as well as I know in this business that, you know, you could spend 1 year out of football, and that could be the end of your career.
Yeah.
You know, so me as a young coach, I mean, Bob Stoops and them guys, you know, they already done got the respect and paved the way and earned their right to be able to be like, hey, I want to coach and get a job. You know what I'm saying? They've earned that. Me, I'm still a young guy. I'm still young. I'm still a sponge, even though I've been a coordinator 6 times out of my 8-9 year career, which is pretty good, I would think, you know, for a young coach. You know, still a lot of people don't know. You know, it's about who know you business.
Right. Yep.
You know, and you know, so again, I'm still a youngster in this game, and I'm just trying to get in where I fit in and continue to learn.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
I have no idea. I have no idea what will happen if I can't get on that.
Well, man, I tell you, we all want the league back. It looks like the league's coming back, and I'll be pulling for you. Hope that you do get your job back there in Dallas, and even if it's not there in Dallas with Stoops, it's somewhere else, because you know you guys were doing well, and like you said, you had Dunbar and Artis-Payne in the backfield.
Man, monsters.
Those are some...
I had 2 monsters in the backfield.
Yeah.
You know, of course, it was the air raid offense. They didn't get the ball a whole lot in the run game, but they did a lot catching the ball out the backfield, man. I mean,
that's how they
I had studs. I felt like I had the best 1-2 punch combo in the whole league. We just didn't beat them enough. You know?
Right. You did. So, you know, best of luck. Hey everybody, we're talking with Dallas Renegades running back Lance Dunbar. Lance, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Man, I'm good. Just trying to enjoy what little bit of good weather we've got. It's a little cloudy here, but at least it's not raining. So to get right into it, man, and to get maybe a little bit of a background, I know that you played in the NFL, but with the XFL this last season, man, how was that? How was it playing with the Dallas Renegades?
Oh, man, it was great. It was a wonderful opportunity just to get back out there and, you know, do what I love again. So,
yeah,
I got back out there, enjoy the time, you know, enjoy playing ball again, man.
How did you find out that they were suspending the season 5 games in?
We all, you know, with the coronavirus and everything going on, we had a meeting because we was getting ready to travel to an away game, and you know, the NBA suspended, you know, all other professional leagues are suspended, and then we had a meeting the next day, and you know, we all assumed, okay, here it comes, we're next. It was the last sport, you know, that was still trying to play. So we knew it was coming down. We had a team meeting, and they canceled everything. And it was a shocker.
How did you find out about that? Because I've heard a couple different stories from a couple different guys about how they found out. How did you get the information that they were shutting the league down?
Well, from my understanding, the meeting we had, when they suspended the operations, I kind of already knew that it was over with because all other sports are shut down, and then with the circumstances, it was just hard to continue. So
right,
other than me seeing on ESPN that it was shut down, I already kind of had my mind set on that. I mean, it was about to shut down.
Yeah.
It was frustrating too because everything was going so well. I was doing well. I was trying to get back in the NFL. So, that was supposed to be my take that was my opportunity to get back, and kind of screwed me up. But
yeah, that's the beauty of the league, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Is guys need tape. And if they don't get that opportunity, if they get put in a situation early in their career where there may be more guys in the court in the running back room, than what they can keep, and it's a numbers game, and for whatever reason, it's not for lack of talent, but you don't make the team or whatever the situation is, what can you do? The XFL gives you an opportunity to put tape down in a professional league because, I've talked to other guys too. The whole environment, the whole game between college and pros is completely different. The environment, the atmosphere, everything. And the XFL gives you an opportunity to have that tape in a professional setting. Was that your experience too? Like it was completely different from college, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was very similar to the NFL. The only difference to me is it was more relaxed at that time. It wasn't for me the job security every day. Just somebody hauling your back, like trying to take your job. Just because of my experience in the NFL, so it was more me just doing what I love, less stressful at times. And I just get to go out there and just be who I am on the field.
Yeah, man, and I tell you what, it was exciting to watch you guys play. How was it playing in that air raid system, being a running back?
Well, for the type of the type of back I was in the NFL, they used me for mostly passing downs.
Yep.
Which that was great for the type of system we did in the XFL because I'm a great pass catcher. But at times it was kind of frustrating because, I wanted to run the ball a little bit more.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be one-dimensional. And not just me, it was other guys that played with me that, we didn't get as many opportunities on the ground as we wanted because we was an air raid.
Yep.
And the strength of our team was the running backs. And 100%. Our system was set up to pass.
Yeah, 100% true. That's one of the things that I noticed too. You and Cameron back there, that was a 1-2 punch that unfortunately, however you want to look at it, you all were in that air raid system. I like a back that plays like you do. One of my favorite running backs of all time, again, I'm kind of old, was Roger Craig. I always say that Roger Craig was Marshall Faulk before Marshall Faulk was Marshall Faulk. So, one of his biggest strengths was being able to catch the ball out of the backfield. And, we all know in any business, the more diverse your skill set, the better you are at being able to keep a job, So like being able to catch and have those hands doesn't show your skills or show all of your skills. It limits your ability to showcase your talent. Now, how with the bankruptcy and everything and all that going through with the process, trying to figure out who it was that was going to be the new owner and doing all that, when it finally came out that The Rock and Danny Garcia and Redbird Capital bought the league, what were your feelings on that?
I was like, well, the XFL was doing a great job with it as the owner. And once I seen The Rock, I was like, wow. I said, well, it's going to be even better now. Someone who has experience playing football, someone who does great business, and then has a really big name, household name.
Yep.
So, I think XFL will be bigger and better now in the hands of The Rock.
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm excited to see what changes he make, if any, and just see what he had planned for XFL.
Yeah, they have hinted at a bubble season, depending on how this is with the virus coming up next spring, which I noticed, and then I was told when I was talking to a couple other guys that you guys basically already did this in training camp in Houston. You all were basically in a bubble already, so you're set up for that. How was that experience, being like that during training camp, all in one spot, taking part in camp like that?
To me, it was the same experience I had in the NFL during training camp. It's exactly the same. You live in a hotel, you pretty much do everything you need to do in there within the rooms of the hotel, and so to me, it was everything I've always done. It was very similar. The hotel has everything you need. So if you want to play football, you just get to focus on the task at hand, which is playing football, getting your body right, getting your mind right to play football.
Yeah, I know that you're excited and hoping for this 2021 season. And you picked up on it too. We know Vince McMahon has that entertainment background, but The Rock also has that and football background. So for me, when it comes to new ownership, it's I think it's going to be enhance the league. Have you been told anything? Have you had any phone calls about what might be happening? I know that everything just happened, so it's all new. But have you heard anything at all from anybody about what might be happening over the next couple of weeks or months?
No, I haven't. I asked my running back coach Bobby. He was like, he hasn't heard anything. He's gonna let me know and keep me updated when they figure out the next move. It's still early, so
yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're handling a lot of paperwork and trying to figure out the logistics of everything right now.
Yeah. They just technically took over ownership on Friday, so it's only been a few days since they've really been able to start doing things. But I do believe that they need to get at least the coaching staff and whatever executives for each team going as soon as possible. How has the summer been for you?
It's been pretty good, man. I've just been trying to stay. It's been a little weird because of the virus. I have to stay isolated. So I've just been working out, trying to stay safe, trying to stay ready or whatever. I was hoping to get a workout or something from the NFL that hasn't happened yet, but I'm still staying ready, staying in shape in case anything happens. But and just been taking care of my business. I have a trucking company that I started a year ago, so that's been keeping me busy. And just spending time with the fam.
Yep, that's important. All right, yeah. They've hey, look, don't give up hope. They've been working out. There's been at least 15 guys over the last week from the XFL get NFL workouts, and there's been a bunch of guys already get signed. So don't lose hope on that. Even with the limitation of their roster size being at 80, the NFL is still working out a bunch of XFL guys. So don't lose hope. You might get one of those calls here soon, man. So
I'm still ready.
Yep, I know you are. And I guess it goes without saying, if you get a call from the XFL letting you know to get ready for the season you're in, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, all right, man. I appreciate you talking to us.
No problem, man.
We're all looking forward to the XFL coming back. It looks like it's going to be back next season. At least that's what they're looking like they're hinting for. So, like I said, appreciate you talking to us, Lance, and stay in touch with us.
No problem, man. You have a great day.
All right, you too. Sitting there talking to Cameron Artis-Payne, running back from the Dallas Renegades. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Just to get a background here, you were fourth in the league in rushing. How did you when it all came down, when they said, after week 5 that they were postponing because of the virus? How did you find out? How were you told?
We all got gathered up into a meeting. We were in individual meetings at the time, but running backs, we got gathered into a big team meeting, and they broke the news to us that was the direction we were moving in.
Gotcha. And then when everything went even further south, when it was announced they were shutting the league down, and then eventually, going into bankruptcy, terminating contracts. How were you told about that?
I found out like everybody else on ESPN. So as far as with that, I found it out like everybody else.
Yeah, that's something that we're hearing a lot about. That's some people got mass texts, other people heard about it in the media. It's like you're in the middle of the league, playing in the league, and then the league doesn't even necessarily let you know themselves. Throughout this process, and now that we've got these new owners, how are you feeling about that? Are you excited about The Rock and Danny Garcia taking over the league? What's your feelings on it?
I mean, to be honest, it sounds good. I thought it was a good league before. It was well ran. So to have these guys take it over, and I don't foresee another pandemic coming. So
right.
I think the league will do good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't plan for anything like that because that's not something that normally happens. How was it, man? Like, how was the experience in the XFL? I'll let you know. I'm old enough to remember a little bit of the USFL. I went to a couple of Jacksonville Bulls games with my aunt and uncle back in the 80s. And I've always loved these leagues because it gives players that didn't necessarily, make it in the NFL, and not because they're not talented, because that's not always the case. Sometimes, most of the time, from what what I've seen over the years, it's a timing situation. It's a numbers game. It's they signed on with a team that might have had too many people in that position room, and then they just weren't able to keep them. These guys in the XFL are still very talented football players, and I love these leagues for giving them, that opportunity to play. So how was it? How was it playing in the XFL?
Like you said, it's an opportunity to showcase what you can do, especially to try to continue your career moving forward, whether that's getting back in the NFL or if the XFL becomes like the USFL at one point was paying the guys a lot of money. So if it turns into something like that, it's an even better outlet because guys can actually feed their family with that outlet. So I mean, to me, the XFL was super, super valuable and something that should be around.
Yeah, that's part of my feeling on it too. I kind of wish. I mean, I know that's a lot of the players, if not all the players, were we're using the league to try to get more film, to try to show NFL guys that they can still play football. But I did kind of wish that there was something, and hopefully down the line they can, some type of incentive to keep stars, to keep guys in the XFL, because a lot of guys that'll play in the XFL and then sign, because we've got we've got a tracker on the XFL News Hub website it's got close to 50 guys that have signed an NFL contract. Now, I would have loved to have been able to see an incentive to keep some of those guys in the league because, it was those guys, it was you guys, it was, a lot of people, the culmination of everything that made the league exciting. So yeah, to try to get the XFL to be the league that somebody wants to play in, that should be, the ultimate goal. And have you heard anything from anybody about any type of return yet, or everything's still just real new?
Yeah, everything's still. I haven't heard concrete news or anything like that about what's coming next, whether the league is coming back in 2021 or whether it's going to be 2022. Like, I haven't heard anything.
Gotcha.
So,
how was it like to play in the air raid system? I know that, being a running back, that's not always something that is beneficial to a guy that plays in the backfield. But you were able to be a weapon in the passing game as well. So how was that?
playing the was fun to me. I've never played in it previously. So, I seem to switch offenses everywhere I go.
Right.
So, in all honesty, man, I enjoyed it. It was a good experience. Something different from what I'm used to. Gave me the opportunity to showcase my hands. So,
yep.
I just enjoyed it.
Yep. Yeah, that was. I always like a running back that can do both. They can run the ball and catch it. One of my favorite guys is Roger Craig, one of the first ones to be real big in doing both of those, being able to run it and being able to catch the ball out of the backfield. This is kind of a silly question. Do those rivalries that you have in college, do they follow you to the pros? I mean, obviously you try to keep a positive locker room, but like, do you still like get at each other when it comes to your teams?
Yeah, we're going back and forth about it, definitely. Especially the week of any big major rivalry game, like if Auburn is playing Georgia, if Auburn is playing Alabama, and guys that went to those schools, is definitely a different vibe for that week.
I know that some of these rivalries in college can get pretty hectic. I just wasn't sure how that goes with the pros because you're going to end up playing with some guys from being in your position, being at Auburn, playing with some guys from the SEC, from Alabama. So what have you been doing over the past few months, man? Like obviously, I'm sure you've been staying in shape. What's a normal day for Cameron Artis-Payne?
I'm married. I got married and I got 2 girls.
Congratulations.
So I appreciate it. So I wake up, take care of my family, especially with the pandemic. We really haven't been moving around a lot, and make sure that I stay in shape. I got a whole workout room in my house, weight room, treadmills, all that type of stuff. So my whole focus has just been staying in shape, being ready for, situation when it arrives, ready for that call, and, just being a father.
Yeah.
And a husband.
Yep, I know that. I've got kids and all that too, so I know how that goes, and especially during this pandemic, you gotta make sure that everybody's safe. Environment different in the XFL than it was in the NFL?
It's not really anything to get adjusted to as far as playing at a different times. In college you had a spring game, so you practice around those times anyway.
Right.
So guys that are coming from, big Division I programs or just Division I programs in general are used to that, accustomed to that. So that wasn't anything to really, switch your brain, switch your mindset to. All in all, man, it was just, for me, I just enjoyed being out there playing football. So I didn't even pay when we were playing it here.
Yeah, no doubt. I guess this goes without saying. You get that phone call, you're ready to go, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. If you ever get that, if that's going to happen, the opportunity arises, then I would be glad to play in the XFL again.
I got you, man. Well, I appreciate you talking to me, and that's gonna once again, this is Cameron Artis-Payne here on XFL News Hub. Thanks again for talking to me, man. It's been a pleasure, and congratulations again on getting married through this summer.
Cam Phillips finally signs with the Carolina Panthers. Many fans were wondering what the heck was going on with Cam Phillips. And at the last minute, really, Cam Phillips has signed with the Carolina Panthers, joining P.J. Walker, which gets fans excited about the reunited duo. How Cam Phillips shapes up with the Panthers offense is to be determined. They have Carolina added Robbie Anderson to the receiving core, and he will join DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. So those are three good guys right there. Phillips is a dynamic receiver who was a deep threat receiver for the Roughnecks all last XFL season. So not many defenses were able to stop Phillips in their tracks. So maybe could he still make it? The last time I saw Phillips, he was on the depth charts. Actually, he wasn't too far off, and he's only been there for a week or two. So it should be interesting to see if Phillips makes the 53-man roster. Other news, Bengals sign Los Angeles Wildcats guard Kahil McKenzie, and they move him to defensive tackle. We'll see how that goes. The 6'4", 320-pound McKenzie played guard in the XFL, but looks like he'll switch to defensive tackle, a position that he played at the University of Tennessee. DC Defenders center John Toth signed with the Cleveland Browns. LA Wildcats wide receiver Seed Blacknall signs with the Steelers again. That's right, again. He was cut. Then he was recently signed. He was one of the 9 XFL players to sign with the club. Then on August 21st, he was cut by Pittsburgh. Later on, about a week later, they re-signed him and they waived James Lockhart, maybe linebacker James Lockhart. We'll see what happens. Teams are at 80 players right now, and they typically are at 90s, but because of everything going on, they will trim their rosters to 53 players September 5th, to keep that in mind. Carolina Panthers cut St. Louis Battlehawks defensive end Devontae Lambert. So now he's not going to get to hang out with Cam Phillips and P.J. Walker. Along with Colin Thompson, they still remain with the team. And DC Defenders wide receiver DeAndre Tompkins signs with the Steelers. So now Seed Blacknall and DeAndre Tompkins. I guess the Steelers are a little worried about how thin they are potentially at wide receivers. He was signed, and the Steelers released cornerback Alexander Myers. I know you would all love to play XFL fantasy football right now, but I have news for you. There is NFL fantasy football right at this moment. But if you're a super fan, like we are at XFL News Hub, you might want, for fun, stash a couple XFL guys on your fantasy team. Are these guys going to be big playmakers? We're not sure. A lot to be determined. Everything that's going on, there could be guys benched. These guys could make the practice squad, maybe make it up to the roster, and people get sick. We don't know. But we thought it'd be fun to look at 3 XFL sleepers that you could potentially put on your fantasy team to really impress your friend. And if you're an XFL super fan, you gotta draft an XFL guy. It can be the last pick, as I have done, and I'll explain in a little bit. So some guys, remember back in the day, Tommy Maddox went from the XFL to the NFL and was the comeback player of the year in 2002. So it's possible that some of these guys might break out in the NFL. So we go down the list. First up, tight end Donald Parham, Chargers. We know about all of him, 6'8", 7-foot wingspan. He's got hands. He's got the speed to go along with it. He's a big target. We'll see what the Chargers do. We have Pep Hamilton with the Chargers. And he's familiar with Donald Parham. So we'll see if he makes the roster. They still have a lot of good tight ends. But if a couple injuries here and there, we could see Parham in the mix. Last time I checked, he was potentially 3rd or 4th on the depth chart. So he could definitely be a guy that you could stash and try to be cool and put on your fantasy football team. Number 2 is Jacquez Patrick, running back. Now, Vipers fans know how their rushing attack was with Devon Smith and Jacquez Patrick tearing it up, and they started to come on strong towards the end of the 5-game season. They were really putting in, but he's a 6'3", 235 pound. And he's built like a linebacker, 4.5 speed. So he could be a potential guy to stash on your roster. Now they've got Joe Mixon, who always seems to get injured. Giovanni Bernard, who's been on my fantasy team before, and you think he's going to break out and doesn't do anything. And then Samarje Pernier is another guy. So potentially they also have 6th-rounder Trayvon Williams, and that was from 2019 on the roster as well. So Patrick, he's got his work cut out for him, but he could potentially see some playing time really, maybe in the NFL. And the last one, Cam Phillips. We all know his story, wide receiver. Of course, P.J. Walker is a given because he'll probably be the backup. It's between P.J. Walker and Will Grier. I would have a feeling P.J. will be the backup just because of his familiarity with his coach, Matt Rule. But Cam Phillips is a guy that I've already seen higher on the depth charts than I had thought. And he's only been there a week or two. Really, fingers crossed that he makes the team and potentially P.J. Walker gets some playing time and those two can light it up again in the NFL, which would be fantastic. But he's got to fight for targets with the team. You got Christian McCaffrey, who gets 100 targets a game, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel. So the 4th spot in the wide receiving core as a teeny guy that can run with some speed and stretch the defense could potentially be a great asset for the Carolina Panthers. And for the record, in my draft that I just had this past weekend, with the final pick in the 16th round, your pal Mark took former Virginia Tech Hokie Cam Phillips in my fantasy draft. And everybody that knows me and that knows the draft and knows about XFL were not surprised that I took Cam Phillips. So who would you take? Would you take one of these guys from the list or somebody else? Leave us a comment who you would stash from the XFL on your fantasy football team. If you were really brazen, that is. What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Remember, you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It links to other social media, our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today. All right, let's take a look at some of your social media stuff real quick. LA Wildcats star quarterback Josh Johnson works out for the 49ers. Steve Keane says practice squad at best. If he makes it, got 3 QBs. We'll see. Fingers crossed for Josh Johnson. Where is the love, NFL love, for Battlehawks kicker Taylor Russolino? Alan says, wouldn't you want to see the player stay in the league and build it? And then Jason says, technically he isn't under any contract, so why not sign with the NFL team if the team wanted him? True. I would like to see him back, but we'd like to see these guys make it to the NFL, get some cash. On the rumored version of Hard Knocks bring to the XFL, David says, as long as they bring back the DC beer snake. All right, well, that's fine with me. About Saeed Blacknall signs with the Steelers again. Kyle says, the age of the replacement players. If I were a sports agency firm, I'd have an ad, many athletes on lockdown waiting for a call up. We shall see. But again, remember, these guys are going to get cut down to 53-man rosters, and then they're going to have, I think it's 9 to 10 players on the practice squad. So there's still going to be a lot of these guys out on the streets, so to speak, and potential would be great to get them in the XFL. No question about that. Lessons that can be learned from the 2020 season. One of the articles put out there. Trevor Bruce says, I say this is a stupid virus. Didn't come up just randomly, which I keep my opinions to myself about XFL, would it still have had been going on? Absolutely. The XFL would clearly be going on right now. On the YouTube channel, real quick, Kiki Alexander says, dang it, I would have went insane at the Dome if Archie was debuted on the mascot. We talked about Archie B. Hawk. On the relocation thing, should Josh_XD should double the league's numbers. It would make it more competitive and long season. Plus, you got to remember, folks, we just need to get through a full season and a championship game to get away from the current situation in the health world wide. Get away from that before we do anything other than that. Let's get to, what is this? Dave says, talking about over 30 parties were interested in the XFL. Okay, let's see here. This was a lie. There were no 30 parties interested in the bankrupt league. Only party interested was Dwayne Johnson, Danny Garcia, and Redbird Group. They're wasting their money because nobody's going to watch a sports event with a pandemic raging on in the world. This is actually 100% true. There was 30-something interested parties. There were 2 bids. There is a difference between interested parties and bids. So this is a fact. I don't know if I need to respond to that because there's lots of haters everywhere, especially more so now. But yeah, that is true. There were 30 parties, 30-plus parties. Redbird and Danny Garcia and Dwayne Johnson, they were 2 separate ones, and then they merged together to form one bid. And there was 2 bids. One didn't make it, and their bid was the only one that was left over. But yes, there was over 30 parties interested. This is a fact, my friend. On to our emailers. First up, Chris says, hi, Mark. Here's a weird half-formed thought. I'm a fan of the XFL using mid-sized markets where they can be dominant football attractions. However, if the XFL plays a season in a single city bubble and there is no connection between the teams and locations themselves, it would make sense to have all 8 teams be associated with huge cities to try and attract local interest from those huge cities for a season? ? The obvious counter-argument is that it might hinder long-term credibility if locations change too much every single season. However, a season in a bubble would be an experiment in many ways. Is this a factor worth throwing into the experiment? It's going to stay in an XFL city. The thing is, everybody's like, oh, we should have it in my city because there's a real big fan base. It's a season in a bubble. It does not matter if you are the largest city or the smallest city, because it is in a bubble, meaning there will be no fans, and we don't want people in there messing up the season. So St. Louis would never be a spot, especially because they play in a dome. You want to play outside. That's what the science is kind of telling us at this juncture. You're not going to go to a city that has nothing to do with the XFL because that would be pointless. I mean, unless you're going to go to some city that's got no people there. But you would do one of the cities because that's your relationship is with that city, and there's people and there's staff that have worked that city. So the idea that you wouldn't do it other than in an XFL city in Houston is most likely it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Retired Dev says an XFL video game catering to franchise simulation. Okay. EA has exclusive NFL rights, yet have regressed in this department over the decade. I absolutely agree. Madden is not what it once was, man, at all. When there was no competition, Madden just dropped. I used to love getting that game. I used to take the day off from work when Madden would come out and play it all day. And now I haven't played that game in years. I loved it, but I remember after a couple years, it just wasn't getting it. It was just the same stuff. Anyway, the popularity and call for this mode in a video game is mostly suppressed by EA itself, as their focus has been on arcade-style gameplay. A simulated football experience seems to be a no-brainer and a winner for the XFL at low cost. Seeing Madden 13 was their best franchise output, a video game like this would exponentially boosts your superiority on-field football product. Very minimal market research needed to find this same conclusion. All right, it's talking about a football simulation game on your PC, but I just don't think there's enough fans in there. They need an Xbox. They need a PlayStation game, not something that runs on your PC. Thanks for the email. Don checking in says, caw. Caw to you, my friend. Thanks to you for the podcast. I was very happy to see the podcast start popping up every week again. I am part of the collection of 12 season ticket holders that is very excited about the return of the XFL. I'd love to go to live games, but I'm expecting 2021 season to be played in a bubble. I'm with you there. I totally agree on that. I believe that it is very premature to be talking about relocation and or expansion. I agree, especially if they play in a bubble next year. Yep. But if and when they do, I think that Birmingham, San Diego, Oakland, Salt Lake City, Columbus, San Antonio would have great support in those cities, but it would be hard to justify 3 teams in Texas. Totally agree with that. They all have venues that would support 20,000 plus fans and no NFL presence. Again, we've talked about this before. The reason why they stayed away from AAF cities was because at the time they were putting the league together, there were AAF teams there. I hope that Kurt Hunsinger considers returning to St. Louis, and I would like to see Andrew Luck come back, but I know that ship has sailed. I think you're talking about Oliver Luck. Wish him luck for the future. No pun intended. Oh, I am excited to see the debut of Archie B. Hawk. Yeah, me too. One question, have you heard or what can I find out about 2021 season tickets? Nothing right this juncture. I think what will happen first, they're trying to deal with all this creditor stuff. Now that they have the keys to the kingdom, they're going to try to pay back the season ticket holders with a bunch of that money, that Rock, Danny Garcia, Redbird Capital money. They'll try to pay those people back. And then at some point, once we get organized, which could be in a couple months, maybe sooner, I'm starting to lean towards a couple months from now. There's a lot that needs to be done. I think you'll start to hear stuff about season tickets. I don't care if they play in a bubble in 2021. I'm still putting my season tickets in. I loved my seats. I want to go back. So if I have to wait 2 years to sit in my seats, so be it. I'll give you my money. Just anything to support the XFL. And finally, we're going to get these a lot. Justin Thomas, based LA and play receiver. Is there any updated tryout information for the 2021 XFL? There is absolutely nothing. There is no employees. There is no, other than The Rock, Danny Garcia, and Redbird Capital owning it, there is no Jeffrey Pollock at this juncture that we know of. Team president or the XFL president, he's not there. There's nobody on staff as we know it right now. So there was no tryout information. Remember, there wasn't a tryout. You were invited. So if you want to be invited to an XFL camp someday, you basically need to go look up the Spring League and pay. You have to pay to get play in the Spring League, and then you'll get some looks there. So that's what's going on. There is no tryouts. There is no nothing at this point. And everybody has waited with bated breath to find out what's next. All right, that's it for our social media. No phone calls this week. Somebody tried to leave a message and it didn't come through. So that's it. All right, that's it for this week's show. We want to thank Josh Davis. We want to thank for him for reaching out and talking to Bobby Blizzard, to Lance Dunbar, Cameron Artis-Payne. We really appreciate those guys giving us some insight on what happened in the XFL 2.0 era. We really appreciate that. We have more interviews, plus we'll be interviewing our writers and so much more coming in the coming weeks, an XFL News Hub. So if you want to be part of the show, you email podcast@XFL News Hub or call 888-430-7692 extension 3. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the whole deal. We're really blowing up there on the Twitters, so follow us on there and on YouTube and subscribe. All XFL News Hub. Plus, we got our Android app and our iPhone app. You can download those. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show, and you can listen to us everywhere. You can listen to podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, the whole deal. For show notes, xflnewshub.com/XFL-podcast. We got our Discord. You can find that in the show notes. And that's it for me, folks. This has been an interesting week. A lot of great interviews. Again, we want to thank Josh Davis and Bobby Blizzard. Lance Dunbar, Cameron Artis-Payne. I'm so excited. Even though it's NFL season, I'm excited about XFL season and can't wait to give that information to you, and we can start building towards the 2021 season. It's going to be an interesting ride. You've been there for the 2 years that we built up to, basically 5 games, and now you're going to be there as we build up to the 3.0 era. It should be very interesting indeed. So thanks for listening. Mahalo. God bless to all you out there. Stay safe, and I will see you all later.